Good morning. Happy Monday, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk Live, the show where my guests and I explore what it looks like to live a sustainably healthy life as mothers in the home for ourselves and in the community. I'm your host, Coach Connie Pastorius, founder of Pastorius Fitness, online wellness coaching for overwhelmed New York City moms who are ready to regain control of their lives and reclaim their health. I'm also the founder of the Strong as a Mother online community, a Facebook group for moms that sets the standard for what online fitness and nutrition support for women should be. No diets, no MLM, no BS. So drop a 1 in the comments if you're watching live and a 2 if you're catching the replay. Either way, don't be shy. It is never too late to add your voice to the conversation. And if you're watching on YouTube, click the link in the description of this video to join a community of busy, awesome moms just like you. Now, let's get to the reason why we're all here. I am so excited for you to meet today's guest because I absolutely love meeting and connecting with women who are crushing it in the fitness industry. This particular woman is crushing it while balancing the role as a mom and stepmom to 5 children and is living not too far away in Eastern Long Island. And if that wasn't enough, my guest is the woman in charge and owner of SimFit, short for Simply Fit, as well as a local meal prep company called Simply Food. So please welcome to the show, Kim Brehm. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning. How are you?
I am good. How are you, my friend?
I am great. I'm so happy to be here on a Monday morning.
Yay. And the sun is shining, which means we're
Yes.
automatically a little bit happier. At least.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So first question, what's in the cup?
Okay, this is my favorite mug. The outside is actually gone. It used to be an Ivory Ella mug that my kids bought for me. And I've already had my allotment of coffee, and I'm a coffee snob, so I won't like half booty the coffee. So I now have my favorite caffeine-free tea, which is mint flavor, and I wish you could smell it because it smells so good. That's my backup, my alternative.
That's awesome. So you still like the hot beverage experience?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing in it, just plain up tea, straight up.
I love it. I love it. I'm a coffee snob myself too, or just coffee enjoyer all the time. I'm still on Radio Roasters, locally roasted.
I understand.
Yes. So let's get to this awesome conversation. So Kim, I want you to, introduce yourself to the group here first. You have over 20 years in the industry. How did you end up where you're at now?
Well, it has been a very convoluted route. I actually started in college as an environmental science major. And somehow I started teaching the class on campus that paid the most, which was a water aerobics class, as it was called way back then. And the woman who ran our campus rec program just sort of took me under her wing. I think nobody wanted to teach that class, but I was like, hey, it pays, I'm doing it. And that was it. She took me under her wing and sort of changed my whole course. And I changed majors and became a kinesiology major. And that's basically how I started my fitness. So choice, it just kind of happened, but I love it. And I have actually tried a few different other things. I realize every time that this is where I belong. I absolutely love helping people just feel good about themselves on all levels. So my route has been very varied. I've worked in New York City, in London, I've worked in corporate, I've run my own brick and mortar gym for over 10 years. And it doesn't matter what it is, I just love this industry. And that's how I'm here, training and online coaching, and now running a meal prep company, which is, again, kind of fell in my lap. And I was like, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And it's been amazing.
That's awesome. How did this meal prep thing fall in your lap, and when? How long ago did you start?
So luckily, my husband loves to cook, and we have been married about 2 years. We have 5 kids together. That is true. And they're all between the ages of 10 and 14. So as you can imagine, it's a little chaotic. And we do, oh my gosh, laundry, we don't even want to talk about that. You can imagine the amount of food we prepare on a regular basis. We don't eat out a lot, because of the expense. Some of our kids eat 3 times the amount we do. They are very hungry children. And also because I just don't like the quality of food that's available. So we have done a lot of meal prep in the last 5 years. And my clients had been asking me over and over, would you prep for me? The food you make always looks so good, and we know it's healthy. And I was always very resistant. And I would say, nope, I'm not doing that. I have enough. And then finally, last year or the year before, we said, everybody's asking for this. We know we can cook in bulk. And we sort of just dove in, and that was it. Luckily, just before the pandemic started, because we had already had most of our processes set up at that point, but it completely changed the trajectory because we were cooking at a commercial kitchen and then having people pick up their meals at our local gym, and that came to an abrupt halt. So we started delivering food, which is why we're still very local. And we're ready to really expand into the next level of this company, but we've pandemic and all of the restrictions. But I am amazed at how much people don't like to cook, B, how much people don't really know what the processes are, and C, what people really think about portions and portion control. It's been an eye opener. So it's really helped me also guide my clients as far as all of the nutrition side of things and planning and prepping for themselves as well.
That's excellent. So you've kind of adjusted your path, your whole trajectory for your career based on like what you fell in love with, what you found works, what you believe is best for your clients. And I think that's incredible. So that's kind of why we're having this topic of discussion today, because like I mentioned in the promotion of this coffee talk, that between you and me, we have over 30 years of experience, which makes me feel a little old. But I also think that's special because A, this is a male dominated industry and we're still here. And B, it's hard to make a career out of fitness. But here we are. And what I want to do is share what our experience has been over the years between fitness trends, diet fads, what has worked and what needs to die and go away forever. So I thought this would be fun to do kind of newlywed game style for people who don't have any idea what the newlywed game is. It's old for me, but
it's old for me too, just so you know.
We're not old. We're not actually old. So this is where I'm going to actually play talk show host and participate, but the host poses a question and asks the newlyweds, like, what are your answers? So we're going to have a couple questions and we're going to share what our answers are as well-versed professionals in the health and fitness industry. So I'm ready. Are you ready?
I am. I just wanted to note, I think in the their goal was to have their answer match. So to see if our answers are going to be similar.
Ooh, that is interesting. However, since you have 20 years and I have 10 years, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, we'll see.
So also, I will make a note for anyone watching along, either on the live or the replay. I want to hear what your thoughts are when I ask these questions as well, because I think we all have been elbow deep in fitness and diet culture for as long as I can remember. So without further ado, here is question 1. What was the biggest workout trend when you started your career in the fitness industry? Ready? Let's see it. Ooh, curves and Zumba. All right, let's talk about this. So, what did it mean for you when curves blew up and got really popular?
Now, I will amend this slightly. This was really what was very popular when I first go. So not exactly when I started, but a little bit into that time frame. So the premise of curves was really pretty phenomenal, because what it did was it brought people into the gym, into sort of the world of fitness, who probably would never have been in there. And especially because it added resistance training. The principle was phenomenal. I loved it. As far as that goes. Now, the actual intensity and I guess sort of breakdown of the exercises led some, and could have really been improved quite a bit. But again, for somebody who came into this, and I believe the target market was women who are probably my age now, but at the time were older than me, a lot of people just were afraid. They really would never have stepped into a gym otherwise. It had a very comfortable feel for people, women specifically, who would never have even attempted something like that.
That's great. So it was something over nothing, which is still an improvement.
Exactly. That's how I felt about it. Now, of course, we can get into the details of it and I could break it apart bit by bit, but let's stick with the positive on that one. It actually had a positive benefit. And a lot of the people that first came to me in my facility were people that would have frequented a curve style facility. And a lot of them still to this day are now working out. And this is almost 20 years later. So I'm going to say it was actually a positive thing.
I agree, because one of my first personal training gig was in a JCC, a Jewish Community Center.
Mm-hmm.
So what they ended up developing was this whole room dedicated to a complete circuit that just start here, keep going around one station at a time. By the time you're done, total body workout. And I'm like, you know what? If you go in there, if you don't want to talk to a trainer, if you just want to do something and know that it's enough, enjoy. Great workout. So that's awesome. I agree. Curves, not that bad. As long as they're showing up, as long as they're feeling healthy, feeling confident, that's great. So tell me, Zumba did start. And that's such a special, I think Zumba's a very special workout program that blew up so fast.
So I know quite a bit of the history of Zumba, and it really kind of came out of a place of love. The creator, Beto, really believed in this program and wanted to bring it here to America and worked his butt off to get it to become mainstream. And that's sort of an inspirational story. And to this day, I don't teach it anymore. And I was almost persuaded into teaching it by one of my own members who said, we're going to get this certification. You're coming with me. And I said, okay, whatever you want. It seems to be a theme in my life. Okay, let's try it. So we did, and it was probably the most popular program I ever ran in my facility. To this day, and I can't even remember the last class I taught, people beg, please bring it back, please. It was the best. We had such a family. It really created this sort of feeling, almost like if you think about how people think about their CrossFit workout family. And the great thing about that is it motivated people to come back. And we were a little crazy and wild. We just kind of let loose. It was like lights out, do whatever you want. I don't care if you can find the beat or doing different steps, let it go, sweat, drench. And people really felt some sort of like emotional release after that class. I don't know if everybody's classes were like that, but I was a little bit of a wild woman. And I felt like the crazier I was, the more it gave them permission to just let loose. So there was for sure something in that. And the music was really fun.
Absolutely. And I'll like, of all the group X classes I was trained to teach, or that I teach now or whatever, I could never wrap my head around Zumba. I cannot do dance choreography. It is my Achilles heel. I can't teach it. But when I take a Zumba class, my cheeks hurt from smiling the whole time. It is so uplifting and fun, and just the music is excellent too, because you're paying to have the rights to this music, to utilize like pop music, the stuff that everybody loves. And And it's such a great community because there's no like dance clubs anymore. There's not a lot of opportunities to go out and socialize and dance anymore. So we
No,
put it in
not
the
at
gym.
all. And not only that, I don't know about you, but I like to be in bed at like 9 o'clock at night. So even if there was, I'm not going to make it. I'll be asleep on the steps outside. So like a 7 o'clock dance party, I'm in.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So you've talked so far about like two awesome things that hit the fitness industry. I went right to the things that drove me nuts. One of them was the Biggest Loser culture. I could have an hour-long conversation about my beefs with this, but so I'm sure everybody knows Jillian Michaels right now and the Biggest Loser TV show. And what ended up happening was groups of people, fitness centers, teachers, all these people were collecting and creating their own little Biggest Loser program. And they were measuring their success and their health based on the number of inches lost, of weight lost. And this whole culture, I think everything that's wrong about toxic fitness culture was in this Biggest Loser concept. The name itself, I'm a Biggest Loser. Like, I don't want to say loser for anything about myself.
No, it's awful.
And Jillian Michaels, even though she did elicit a lot of fitness change and a lot of people did do the workouts, she was mean. And I don't like that vibe. And that kind of was perpetuating this old school no pain, no gain concept and mentality. And that is clearly unsustainable because here we are decades later seeing that all those people that lost a ton of weight gained it right back. So
and worse.
And worse. So that was something that can die and can stay in the early 2000s. I would have no problems with it at all.
I'm with you on that one.
Yes. Okay. There's actually a lot that came out during my undergrad. In about 2010, my friend went to California. She was also in the exercise physiology program, and she came back and she's like, honey, I tried this brand new program. It's called Bar Fitness. And I was like, it sounds like you're being tortured by a ballet instructor. And then it blew up. Everybody was like, I want to do the bar. And I guess it kind of comes back to that, like, people who danced, have a history of dance, have this way to revisit that life that they lived and get healthy.
Yep.
So I think that's really cool. Other thoughts, final thoughts?
Well, I did want to stay very positive, but I did have a note to make about all of the things that I had seen. And those were just a few of them. It was fad after fad after fad, which some of them are still around. So I don't know if we can call them a fad. But I think what we really need to take from all this is anything done to the extreme is never going to be good. And I think that happened with pretty much all of these fads. Extreme fad called, I don't remember what it's called, some clever name about Peloton COVID nerve damage something, because everybody's doing Peloton over and over and over again. And again, none of these things are terrible, but just like what we eat, moderation is really important. We need the cardiovascular work, we need the strength work, the muscular endurance work, we need all of these things. And any one of these, now the Biggest Loser was a little bit different, but any one of these other fads don't really cover all of those things at once. And some will tell you they do, but it's really rare that you find a fad style workout that covers all bases. So even though there were benefits to all of these things sort of along the way, you really need a good mix. It's not good to continually do the exact same thing. I think that was part of what I wanted to say about those other fads that I recall so fondly.
That's a really good point. And bringing in moderation and tying that in, like, moderation is like a very big overarching theme, I think, now with experienced coaches and what we're really trying to teach. But we're going to come to that a little bit later. You touched on moderation with nutrition. So that comes to my next topic of conversation, my next question, which would be, what was the biggest diet trend in the beginning of your fitness career? You ready for this? All right, let's see it. Oh.
Now I'm going way back. I'm going to like the real like the beginnings of my world in as far as fitness goes.
Yeah,
Fat-free really started in the 70s, which is the decade in which I was born, but stuck around for a long time. And I don't think people realize that we are still feeling the effects of that fat-free push all of those decades ago. Because what happened from the fat-free push, it was really misconstrued information. People said, oh, we're heavier, we're having heart attacks. It's the fat, we have too much fat. It must be coming from fat. Now, as nutrition consultants, or however you want to approach it, might tell you, like, of course there are bad fats there. We all know that, but there are healthy fats that got lumped all in with this category. And the fat was removed from all of these food items and replaced by other things that were way worse, like sugars and artificial flavors and sweeteners and this and that, which unfortunately we still see now. And you'd think after all this time, it would have worked its way back out. But clients constantly ask me about, look at this, I found this organic so-and-so, blah, 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 but it's all filler. And it's marketed to us as if it's healthy, but it goes all the way back to that fat-free time frame where they started putting different types of packaging together with funky marketing and all of these additives and fillers that we're still battling now. So it's a little before when I really started my fitness career, but when I was a kid, I remember all of the fat-free products and I still see the after effects on it. So I figured that was a good one to bring up because it affected everything along the way.
Yes, yes. And since you went back to this particular one, which was so integral in the evolution of diet fitness trends, this is where we see our parents and the trauma that in the behaviors that we've developed by watching, if your mom was always on a diet while you were growing up and she believed that fat was bad, then we start adopting these kind of ideas from a very young age. And then to unlearn that, or to hear someone say no, fat's not bad for you, to them, that could sound like night is day. No, day is night, really challenging their belief system. And I mean, the whole, I grew up with the diet pyramid or the nutrition pyramid where bread, carbs were on the bottom and were the biggest thing. And then way up the top is fats, oils, and sweets. So fat, oil, and sweets were pushed together into one group of being the bad stuff. So yeah, the fat-free culture, which also was the start of marketing, like Mad Men style marketing, where they're like, wait, can we say this on a product? Is there rules? So something that we might see is fat-free, super healthy. There are these labels on breads, on items, on food things that make us think that it's a good choice for us. But all they're doing is trying to keep us from turning the package around to actually look at the nutrition content. So this is where it leads into my diet trend, which it's a double-edged sword with this one. So gluten-free became a buzzword around the 2010s timeframe. So there was some belief somewhere along the way that too much gluten specifically in your body was worse than too much carbs, because this was after low carb, Atkins, paleo was still hanging out. Everybody wanted to be hunter-gatherer and all that nonsense. But saying gluten itself is bad for you and is causing your weight gain became really popular. Now, this was driving me up a wall because I have family members who have celiac disease. So I had been very conscious of what the actual effects of gluten are in the body and why it can be bad. But in most cases, it's really not. But here's the other side of it. Because it became such a huge trend, the gluten-free industry exploded. So anybody who is now diagnosed with celiac or a gluten intolerance has the world at their fingertips. They can order on Instacart, they can order on Amazon. Before this, you'd have to go drive to some random natural food store and get one of 2 brands of gluten-free items. So of this misinformation campaign that is gluten-free, it actually bred a really great opportunity for people who actually need it. So I can't be that mad.
I have a daughter who is a carrier for the celiac, genes. So we have a lot of gluten-free food, but we are very, I hate the word clean eating because it's very sort of en masse, covers a lot of things, but we do eat what we would consider clean. So we have just, I don't have to worry so much. We don't have a lot of grains, but when we do, we have the option for her to find a gluten-free pasta and whatever it is, gluten-free oatmeal, whatever it might be. And it's been really nice because having 5 kids of different backgrounds and whatnot, you don't want anybody to feel left out. So from a parenting perspective, I agree with that.
Yes. And since we're on the topic of like having gluten-free options, it's bred this whole line of like lentil pasta and chickpea pasta. So now people who do know the importance of protein and fiber in your diet get to say like, try this. If pasta is something that you still want to eat, but you are, not really getting the fiber and the protein that you want, we have choices. They sell it at Costco. And
Yeah.
so we get to really, reap the benefits of a really, complicated storyline with gluten. Keeping this moving along because I'm having so much fun. Let's go to the next question. This is what I'm excited to talk about, which has nothing to do with exercise programs or whatever, but I want to know, is there a brand of workout clothing or style that you have found that stood the test of time, or something that's just changed in the fitness clothing industry? Because I remember when I started, like Under Armour was a luxury item and it was not readily available. They didn't have a lot of stuff, but oh my gosh, it's blown up again. So you ready? Let's see it. Oh, you love the Gap leggings, the Gap brand,
Absolutely.
not the Thigh Gap.
No, oh no, not at all. That is not happening over here. And I don't want it to. No, Gap leggings, their workout line. Mm-hmm. People laugh at me. They're like, really, Gap? I've carried Lululemon in my store. No, Gap leggings. Now, I'm also sort of on this minimalist campaign with my family, with my clients. I'm having people declutter their life, including closets and whatnot. The basic Gap leggings, quarter length. I have a couple of the full length pairs. They have beautiful high waists that are so comfortable. They wash well. I have black pairs, gray pairs, everything that's very basic. They go with everything. I tell people all the time, they say, really? I say, I promise you, they're comfortable. They wash fabulously. They go with everything. Yes, I know, of all of the fitness brands out there. Yes. No, now I can't say anything for the sports bras or anything like that, but the leggings are fabulous.
Leggings is such a fun conversation to have. I have an Old Navy literally around the corner from my house. So a lot of what I get is based on like what's easily accessible, but I have Lululemons that are just as old as my Old Navy leggings that are all still perfectly functional. So I definitely believe in like balance, a little bit of the cheap stuff. Yes. Now as fitness coaches, we get our discount at a lot of places. But so before I talk about my thing, let's talk about the progression of ultra low rise clothing and how I was never a body for low rise anything. Yeah. And how grateful I am that pants come up to like here now. They're at the high.
They're just more comfortable. I just like how they feel. They're so much more comfortable. I'm all about comfort. As you can tell, I'm usually in a sweatshirt. I like comfort. I'm kind of a plain Jane when it comes to that. I don't like to get dressed or fancy. And if something is uncomfortable, I am not happy. And nobody wants to be around me. So, yeah.
So speaking of comfort, like where do you put your phone? Where do you put your wallet, your keys, whatever? Putting pockets in leggings. I wish I thought of this a decade ago. I'd be rich because the whole world has opened back up. As a mom, as a fitness coach, as somebody that just always needs her phone because if I put it down somewhere, I lose it. Mm-hmm. Brilliant addition. And at this point, unless there's a specific color I need for some reason, the pants have to have pockets. Absolutely love it. I think it's great. You could get them at Marshall's. You can get them like at every level because everybody realized like,
oh, look at how convenient this is.
Like if you like pockets in dresses, let me tell you about the leggings. which is,
So it seems we're all on for comfort and convenience. I'm liking this.
yes.
You could almost make your own brand. Connie's Comfort and Convenient something.
You know, I'm going to tell you a little secret. I have this brilliant idea of pet hair proof leggings, but I don't know how to make them yet, but they're on my list of like things that I need to invent to become. Like,
I will be the first purchaser of those, whatever item it might be, I'm in.
Like,
I have dog hair and everything.
Right? You don't need lint rollers. Just sit on a chair, sit on whatever has hair, your pants are going to pick it up. That is the problem. That is the only problem with leggings. So, final question, which I think is really valuable to wrap this up and to give anyone who's watching some really good things to think about. 20 years, 10 years, have lived through a lot of trends, fads, programs, trial and error ourselves. Mom of 5, mom of 1. At the end of the day, after all is said and done, what is one thing that you think remains true for the success of any client or mom who is listening in today?
You ready?
Oh, commitment and prioritization and barriers to opportunity. So let's quickly talk about what yours means.
So I feel like the word commitment can be frightening to people. So I put the word prioritization in there as well, because I find that a lot of what I wind up talking to people about is really finding the space in your life and self permission to do it, prioritizing yourself. And especially with moms with young children, this is probably a huge barrier. So it's almost as if you need to be, I'm going to say selfish, but it's not selfish, but this is how I usually approach it. You need to be a little bit selfish and say, I am a priority. And it almost doesn't matter what you do if you do it consistently at that point, if you prioritize it and make it an important part of your life. And this, I think, is the hardest part of that for people. It almost doesn't matter what type of exercise you do or what type of, I'm going to call it lifestyle eating you do. As long as you're consistent, you can always tweak it later on, but making sure that it becomes sort of a number one, or maybe after your kids and your spouse or your significant other, maybe a number 2 or 3, but it has to be a priority in your life if you want to be successful with it. And that's sort of like in a nutshell, flat out, laying down the law, prioritize.
I couldn't agree more. I almost said consistency as my answer too, but the one thing that I had been talking more and more with my clients about is limiting beliefs. So you know the phrase, you're only as strong as your weakest link. What we end up talking about most is our barriers. What is the point in your fitness journey or in your nutrition journey that you usually stop at, that stops you and puts you back where you started? And instead of treating those like barriers, because we can feel like we're being stopped, changing the thinking process and saying, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to go over that barrier, to move past where we usually quit, to challenge what we've convinced ourselves, because we often say to ourselves like, oh, I can never finish a diet. Oh, I can never stick to my workout program. And the more that we say that to ourselves, the more that we're going to do things that confirm that belief. So if we take a look at what we consider barriers, our stopping points, or those challenges, and say, this is an opportunity for improvement, that is the biggest kind of mental shift I think that you can make as a woman, as a mom, just as anybody who needs to break through that version of themselves that keeps stopping them.
I feel like our 2 answers link together very prominently.
They do. They do. And what's important to recognize is that there are so many coaches, personal training isn't going anywhere. Online coaching is blowing up. And it's important when someone is looking for a coach and someone to follow that they have the experience. You need a little bit of experience and time spent in this industry to know that does this person really care about what's best for me? Do they know what actually works for me and what is sustainable? And that's really all that we're talking about today, is making sure that we're making the right choices for ourselves. So I think this has been such a really fun conversation.
Yes.
Kim,
Thank you
and thank you so much
for having me, Connie. This was lovely.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. And anybody who has joined in, let's keep this conversation going in the comments. I'd love to hear your takeaways and answer any questions that you might have. If you'd like to connect or learn more about Kim and her businesses, head to simfit.com. Follow her Instagram at simfit on Insta, or her Facebook is at simfit.com, and I will drop those links in the comments. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the show. And if you're not already in here, click that link to join Strong as a Mother online community, because I can't wait to meet you. Until next week, stay strong, stay caffeinated, and I will see you in the city.